following is a paid informational program. The views and opinions expressed are not necessarily those of the staff, management, or advertisers of WOBL Radio.
The paranormal world is evolving. UFOs, psychic mediums, ghosts, and the unexplained have become part of the fabric of our lives. The S-Files is the next step in that evolution. I'm Matt Slies, founder and lead investigator with 111 Paranormal.
And I'm Laura Slies, psychic medium, empath, founder and lead investigator with 111 Paranormal. And this is the S-Files.
And good evening to you all. It is the S-Files in Lorain County Country, 107.7 FM, 1320 AM, and online, WOBLradio.com. It is another edition of the only locally produced paranormal radio show in the area, the S-Files. I am Matt Slies, co-founder of 111 Paranormal, and my better half, Laura.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm just peachy.
It's always that awkward. I spend all day with you, but I still have to ask you, how you doing? Oh, thanks. There's one person we haven't seen in a while. Well, I've seen him last Sunday, but somebody we haven't seen in a while.
No.
John Jenkinson.
There you go. Yeah, fair time.
Showtime. That's right.
Well, fair time was the last time I saw you.
That's right. And we actually had people come up and say, we listen to the S-Files on WOBL. So thank you so much.
Awesome.
If you guys are out there, thank you so much for your support. We greatly appreciate it. Last time we got together around the radio microphone, we talked about Bigfoot and the Mothman.
And Indrid Cold.
And
I
Indrid
forgot
Cold.
to write that down, too, yeah.
So that was a very interesting topic. I don't think we could stretch it out that much. We actually had a lot of good information.
Yeah, I'm a huge fan of the whole Bigfoot theory, and I have been since I was a little kid. So I was glad that we finally tackled that one.
And then we also had the Mothman, which made us watch the movie.
We did. We went home and watched the movie again, and it's as good now as it was. What is it, 20 years now?
Yeah.
I mean, what a great movie.
Richard Gere can actually do horror.
He was very good in that.
I always thought that.
Well, you know who else is in it? Laura Linney.
Julia Roberts.
Laura Linney.
Laura Linney, yes.
They did a movie with, oh my gosh, now my mind has gone blank. Primal Fear. They did Primal Fear. And
never saw it.
Together, yeah, you saw it. We saw
Take
it.
that.
I made you watch that one because it's such a good movie.
Did I fall asleep?
No, you really liked it.
Okay.
But anyway, they had such good chemistry on that one that it was really nice to see them again on screen because they really do. They do have good chemistry. So.
Very good. Like we do here on the show. So that's how I just put that in there. By the way, speaking of which,
you say I think my S word might be segue. I don't know.
We are sponsored by Black River Crystal, by the way. So thank you for your support as well. So today's topic, which didn't exist until 2 days ago.
Well, I mean, there's so many things that I want to talk about, but we're also trying to get people in to call in and have interviews with, and so when one of those doesn't work out, we got to scramble and come up with another thing. But I mean, I have all these topics on our website, which is 111paranormal.com. If you go to the S-Files page on our website, I've got tons and tons and tons of content listed in there, and so everything that we've done thus far has been on that website, and this one is too. So.
And if anyone has any ideas or suggestions that you want us to tackle on the show or discuss, contact us.
Yeah, email us at, it's all one word, TheSFiles at 111paranormal.com, or message us on Facebook. You can follow us at 111 Paranormal OH.
And if you are the people that like to check out websites, 111, that's the number, is 111paranormal.com. So today's topic, paranormal dreams.
Paranormal dreams, yeah. And I thought it's kind of a cool thing because it it really touches everybody. Everybody's had either like a recurring dream and is it paranormal? I mean, we're going to talk about that, but
It's something everyone experiences.
Yeah, everyone can talk about this or can relate to it in some way, shape, or form. So we thought this was a good topic, and I know I personally have had some precognitive kind of dreams and really, really, really horrible ones. To be honest with you, a couple nightmares that have really been what I would consider precognition, and had some major experiences in my life, and thought back and thought, oh my gosh, well I always kind of knew this was going to happen to me. And so we're going to talk a little bit about some of those things today.
And also people visiting you from the beyond.
Yes, and that's a huge one. I mean, people wonder all the time, they'll have a dream about someone who's passed, a loved one, and wake up and think, my gosh, was that real? Were they really trying to reach out to me and give me a message or tell me they're okay or something like that? So we thought we'd do a little bit of sharing what experiences we've had. Both Matt and I have had experiences in that realm of having folks visit us, and just talk a little bit about what we've researched and go from there.
So we're going to get...
I've had some of that too, and I do want to say that one of the things that, and another possible subject of it, was there are people that say, oh, you don't remember your dreams, and I think that's true. I know there's plenty of times where I've had dreams that I don't remember at all, and I've heard that if you do remember them, it's because you weren't in like the REM sleep, the deep sleep. You were more like on the borderline sleep where you can be affected by what's happening outside of you. So,
well, the research I've done, I was looking up some stuff today, and I saw that they said about 85% of your dreams are dreams that you don't remember. So
just wonder what's happening there.
Yeah.
Could be a good thing.
Don't know if I want to remember all of them, but okay.
So we're going to get clinical here a little bit. We're actually going to talk about the stages of sleep. This is going to get a little technical here, but this is what the whole process is when you go nighty-night.
I do want to say, I put this a little bit lower in our list, but to define what dreams are and what scientists consider dreams, they say that there are mental, emotional, or sensory experiences that occur during sleep. Okay, so let's define sleep because that's important. There are 4 stages that are recognized when you're sleeping. So the first is obviously stage 1, and they call them like N1, N2, N3. So this is stage 1, and that's when you first fall asleep, and that lasts about 1 to 7 minutes. And then you go into stage 2, and that's where the body enters a more subdued state. Your temperature drops, your muscles relax, and your breathing slows, and your heart rate also slows. So that's stage 2. Then you go into stage 3, and that's your deep sleep. So stage 3 is, again, like your muscle tone, your pulse, and your breathing rate decreases again. And as the body relaxes, it's harder to wake someone when they're in that stage. I will say, though, yeah, I don't think I don't know if I ever hit that stage very much. So then from deep sleep, you go right into REM sleep. And so REM sleep is where you dream. And what I found really, really cool was that they have measured brain activity during REM sleep, and that is the same activity as if you were awake during the day. Isn't that crazy? So your REM sleep, your brain activity is the same, and that's where you're doing all your dreaming.
Now we've been married close to 20 years. How quickly do I go through all those stages?
I would say you do all of them within 1 to 7 minutes. Yeah, you're lucky, though. You're one of those lucky folks who can lay down and fall asleep. I, on the other hand, it takes me a long time just to get into that basic sleep mode.
I've been told that I fall asleep somewhere between 45 degrees in the pillow. So I remember starting to lay back, and then I wake up because I collapsed back in sound sleep. But I had a sleep study done not too long ago.
I thought you had mentioned that.
And yeah, it's very interesting. I didn't get to see any of it, and I was kind of disappointed because I was hoping they'd kind of like run over some of it with me, because they wire you up like never before for that. And I mean, it's crazy. When I saw, I was like, it's going to take 3 days just to hook me up with all this stuff. And they're very, very quick about it, and they get you all wired up, and it is crazy. But I fell asleep. And then the other part, which was disappointing, was that I didn't feel I slept that long. And they were like, well, you'll get up in the morning and, we'll disconnect you and you can go home. And I was like, okay. Well, at like 4:30, they woke me up and they were like, all right, you're all done. You can go. And they unhooked me. I was like,
it's
I wanted to sleep till like 7. I didn't have the wake-up call set for 4:30. And that was it. So, but definitely interesting. And like I said, it's crazy what they do there. But it turned out I had some pretty severe numbers. I got sleep apnea was what brought it on. So they told me that, and just for instance, just the fact that they measured that was crazy. And they said and it's gotten much better. I got the sleep apnea machine, and now I stopped breathing like 4 times a night now, which is according to the machine. But that night that I did the study, they told me it was over 230 times that I had stopped breathing in the night. And I'm like, well, then I'd be dead.
Well, I mean, I know that things like there are lots of tools now that they have that they have the watches and like my Apple Watch can measure the stages of sleep, and it's really interesting. I mean, it's hard for me to sleep with any kind of jewelry on, but I did do that a few times, and it's really cool because you get the whole graph and it shows you how long, and it's more than I really thought.
Yeah.
And you need REM sleep because REM sleep is what refreshes your body and allows your cognitive thinking and your creativity to come through, and it gives you all of that energy back, and it's a way for your body to just stabilize itself and regenerate. So it's necessary, and I for the longest time did not think that I got much of that, but when I wore the watch, I definitely got more than I thought I would. So I would recommend for folks to do that and just to check and see how you're doing. I know one thing that I do, even just to fall asleep, because I have insomnia. I mean, it's in my family, and my mom has it too, and I have it. I've learned to meditate, and it's probably why I have a hard time meditating, like in the normal day, because when I am meditating and I'm laying in bed, I'm focusing on this inner light that I see when I close my eyes, and that light is there when I do aura readings or when I'm reading somebody. I see a yellow light when I close my eyes, and when I'm in bed and I focus on that yellow light, I literally fall asleep every time. It puts me right to sleep.
Wow.
And I don't even remember, like, the next day, I don't even remember how I fell asleep.
S-Files fan Cheryl says that she's read that if you don't remember your dreams, it's a vitamin deficiency.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Vitamin D for dream.
There you go. Not drinking enough milk.
I wouldn't be surprised. Yeah, I mean, what vitamins can do for your memory and your cognition, and yeah, that wouldn't surprise me at all.
Yeah, definitely. So we're talking about dreams, and we're going to give a paranormal slant on this. Now, Edgar Casey,
the sleeping psychic,
who we're going to do a whole show on because he's just so fascinating.
Yeah, he's amazing.
He has his theory, 4 types of dreams.
Now, if you remember, I don't know if you do, that Edgar Casey used to do readings for people. And he believed very much in, like, past life experiences, and he could tell what somebody's past life was. But he's known as the sleeping psychic. So he would go into a meditative trance or sleep, and it was in that mode of sleep that was right before the deep sleep, where he would have things that would come to him, so knowledge that would come to him. And so he believed in, again, 4 different stages of, or 4 different versions of sleeping. So types of dreams. And so we went and checked that out today. And so he thinks that dreams can be that they pertain to your physical health. So you can have dreams about something that can give you clues to how you're physically doing, right? We have to look more into that because I want to find out exactly what he meant by that. But he was also somebody who could diagnose medical issues. So he would have people tell him what they were dreaming about and kind of use that in the diagnosis of medical issues. By the way, he was almost always right on his diagnoses of medical issues, and he had a 6th grade education. I just want to throw that out there. He was amazing. Amazing man. Second type of dream were dreams that would reveal our inner self's dynamics. And I think what he meant by that was
self-reflection.
Self-reflection, but inner self, I also think that has something to do with sort of that, what's in there that could be from past life, right? Because he always believed that you had some clues of how you were living this life that would indicate what your past life was, that some of those things came forward with you. And so a lot of times when he would find like a little kid who loved, building blocks or Lego blocks or things like that, and he would do a past life, the parents would ask, could you do a past life regression? And he would say he was an engineer in the past life. Like, so that's what I think he meant by that kind of thing. So it kind of tells your inner self. He also believed in dreams being precognitive and psychic. Well, we're going to talk all about that. That's sort of self-explanatory. So you're going to see things in your dreams that may come true in the future, or, psychic, where you're going to talk to somebody who may have passed or something like that. And then the fourth type were visions from the higher spiritual realms. And as I do, Edgar Cayce believed in different dimensions and, folks living in different dimensions. And so I think that he felt that it was a way for you to sort of astral project or, be able to visit those other dimensions that you normally, in this normal state where we're awake, would not be able to view or see or interact with.
It is, when you think about it, that's one thing in your whole daily life experience that you have no control over. Your brain basically just runs wild, and are you connecting with a higher being? Are you traveling somewhere? I mean, it really is a very fascinating theory, and no one knows the answer. We just have theories.
Yeah, we really did some research to try to see, I wanted to approach this like, well, what's the scientific side of this, right? There isn't one.
Scientists don't like anything anyway.
They don't know. They cannot explain in any way that makes any sense what dreams are. They don't know. So it's open to those of us in the paranormal side trying to put our 2 cents in there and figure it out, because it's like anything in paranormal, really. They can't disprove it, and I guess we can't prove it. I don't know. We can prove other things, but dreams, it's just a whole different animal, really.
I mean, people have written books. What they think are their interpretations.
Right.
They have dream books. So if you dream about a car, that means you're insecure. Or
we're going to talk about some of those later.
And obviously it's something, because everybody dreams.
Right.
I've never ran into anybody that says, do you dream? I've never dreamed.
Right. Right. You go through phases where you might not. But,
and like I said, for me, even if I run through a phase like that, I've known it enough to say that if I go through a phase like that, it's that I don't remember them.
Right.
I'm back to that. So.
Yeah.
So before we get into the types of dreams, I want to let you know that the S-Files is brought to you by Black River Crystal. During this chaotic period, more and more people are discovering the power of crystals and metaphysical New Age methods. Black River Crystal is a place to help you on your journey to balance your universe, past, present, and future. We offer a large variety of crystals, towers, spheres, raw and polished tumbles, amethyst, obsidian, selenite, moldavite, and much, much more. Reiki healing sessions, aura, and tarot readings are available on site. We have a great staff that are ready to help you find what you need to balance your universe. Located at 23013 Sprague Road in Columbia Station, or call 440-941-3403. If you can't make it to the store, don't worry. You can shop online 24/7 at blackrivercrystal.com or email questions to blackrivercrystal@gmail.com. You're listening to the S-Files on WOBL, Lorain County Country, 107.7 FM, 1320 AM, and online, WOBLradio.com.
Hello, this is Dakota Layden,
Chelsea Layden,
Peter Wiseman, and Alex Schrader. And you are listening to the S-Files. Dun, dun, dun!
Never gets old.
We're going to meet them soon.
And we're going to have, yes.
Well, I mean, again, we interviewed them, but we're going to go. We have a MadCon coming up, and they raise money for cystic fibrosis, and they are doing a convention on the 21st of September, and we just happen to be going to the VIP party where we're going to meet Project Fear.
Excellent. we'll probably sit down with them in person and talk to them.
Yeah, that'll be
without
nice.
being on the phone. So
yeah.
There you go. So we're talking about dreams, paranormal dreams. So types of dreams. Visitation dreams.
Yeah, I think this is one of the biggest ones. So again, it's, people getting visited while they sleep by loved ones or friends, family who have passed on. I know this has happened to me. It happens to me all the time. It's a regular thing for me. Matt, why don't you tell us a couple of your experiences with that?
Well, both my parents have left this mortal coil and are now... If you didn't see that, folks, my chair just dropped down.
Wow.
I have a feeling your parents may have done
something. I think your dad did that.
Yeah, banana.
They're like,
You
we're
banana?
gonna get them.
His dad used to always say that. You banana.
So, yeah, they're both gone, but they've visited me in my dreams.
Oh.
And do you interact with them?
Yeah, I remember it was shortly after my father passed, and I remember meeting with him in the garage of their house. Mm-hmm. And he felt bad. He's like, I left so much that I didn't get done, and I'm sorry, and, I'm sure your mom is mad at me. I mean, this is like intelligent stuff. It's not like he's actually talking to me. And I woke up, I just spent time with Dad. Yeah. Really, really strange. My mom's come through several times. Mm-hmm. Always keeping an eye on me. It's like, I dream about them a lot. It's like, leave me alone for a while. I need a break. Come on. But the one person I knew by phone, Jerry and the Pacemakers. Okay, Fred Marsden was Jerry's brother, and he was the original drummer. I did work with them. That's another story. But I kept in touch with Fred, and Fred had triple bypass, and he died of stomach cancer. And I had a dream where he looked like he did in the 60s, wearing a suit, and he's making a toasted cheese sandwich. And I said, Fred, you can't eat that. You got heart problems. He says, Matt, I'm fine. Tell Margaret I'm fine. It's all good. And I woke up. I'm like, wow. I mean, you can't make that. I mean,
no, it's like such a random thought,
And then after her father passed, the day after, I had a dream where he was telling me, "Oh, I'm with my mom and I'm dancing on a purple cloud. I'm fine."
And I have to say that when Dad died, I knew his mother was the one there to get him. I knew it. Like, there was no doubt in my mind.
And you didn't tell me that.
I did not. But that's incredible, and I love that one. And I did not know this. My mother told, when we were telling my mom about this story, my mother told me that she was a dancer.
Yeah.
My dad's mother. And I did not know. No one knew that.
I wouldn't have known it.
No, none of us.
And I think she liked the color purple.
Pink and purple. Pink for jewelry, because I share that same trait with her. But yeah, purple. I think purple was one of her favorite colors. Yeah.
So it
was really cool. I mean, it was nice. But I thought one of the weirdest ones was you told me when my grandfather died. I did not have a relationship with my grandfather. He and I didn't get along at all, and so for many, many years, we didn't speak. There was no relationship there at all, and he died, and I cried when he died. I think because more it was for the relationship that I wished I'd had with him, not that he passed because I didn't know him enough. And Matt woke up the day after my grandfather passed, and he had never met my grandfather.
Right.
But he told me that he thought my grandfather had come to him. He didn't see him. Mm-hmm. Tell that.
I just heard him. He just basically said, "Tell Laura I'm sorry for not having a relationship with you."
Well, that was crazy.
He felt bad. And you want me to tell you? And again, I don't claim to be psychic, but it's just a weird, like a conduit.
And it's odd because I was close to all my grandparents, fairly close, I say. But my mom, same as you. My mom passed before my dad, quite a few years before my dad, and I've had many times that she's woke me up, and I've said this on the radio. A lot of people have heard it, but I was supposed to do a remote here on a Saturday, and I somehow didn't set my alarm or something, and I heard my mom plain as day, just, John, get out of bed, you're late. And I was like, oh my gosh. And I got up and didn't recognize where I was. I was back when I was in high school, in my room at my parents' house, looking for my alarm clock to check it and everything, which was long gone. And I'm like, where am I? I'm looking around the house, which is my house at this point. I've moved, and I just didn't recognize it. And I was like, wow, it took me right back there. And I was already late for this remote. So I called one of our people here that was already there and said, what's going on? And he's like, where are you? And I was like,
God.
I'm home. And I said, I'm on my way. But my mom woke me up. And this happened a couple of times. My mom, even when I was in school, she always would wake me up and everything if I was late for anything. And it was just so clear. And at first I thought kind of a fluke. But then I started hearing it more and more. And I was realizing my mom was still there,
Yeah.
Then my dad passed many years after that. And just shortly after he passed, I heard him one morning, and he was like, son, and he always, that was his word for me. He never called me John, he always called me son. And he was like, son, get up. And he goes, I just wanted you to know I'm here with your mom, and everything's good.
Aww.
And we got Fuzz with us, which was our first dog.
Aww.
And I was like, wow. And it just blew my mind because it wasn't like he was waking me up. He was telling me. And I was like, wow. So that's really, but I always found it odd that I could talk to both my parents or have this happening, but never with my grandparents. I have no contact with them ever.
I had one. I was very close to my mom's mom. I was very close to her, and she died when I was sick, but just before I went into kindergarten. And in 1994, I just graduated college in 92, and the job market was terrible, and I'm getting frustrated and getting depressed, and I woke up, I went to sleep, and my grandmother was standing in her kitchen. It was all black and white, but she was in color. And she's like, and she was kind of, a no BS kind of person. She's like, what's going on with you? I said, I'm depressed. I'm looking for a job. I'm getting ready to give up, She goes, it's going to be okay. Trust me. It's going to be okay. That morning, I got a call for a job interview.
Wow.
Yeah. So that made me feel, really good. So
sure.
Yeah. So, I mean, we do have, I think, sleep. I think our defenses are down, and our loved ones, I think, can reach us.
Sometimes, I mean, I always get the question from folks is like, why? Well, my dad died, or my mom died, or like you said, your grandma. Why haven't I seen them? Why haven't I?
Right.
And my first response, my gut instinct on that is that it's just they think you wouldn't be able to handle it. Or that you're just not ready for it, or that it's something that would just be too emotional, right? And that's my gut response to when I hear that.
Yeah.
And that that they watch out for us. I know that they're with me. I know my grandpa's with me. Not that grandpa, the other grandpa. I know he's with me all the time. But I've never dreamt about him, but I still feel like he's around, So I like to tell people that even though you may not have had that interaction or that dream, I think they still watch out for us.
I believe I kind of believe that. I always just assumed that, I don't know how it works. Obviously, none of us do.
Right.
But I just figured, they're given a path, and their path doesn't go to me. It goes to my mom and dad. My mom and dad's path goes to me, and it's like, that's it. So, if my parents had dreams, it was about their parents, and it just runs up the chain that way. So they just, whatever the book says, it's like, you don't have a way to get your grandkids, but you got a way to get to your parents, or to your kids, grandparents, your kids, whatever. I guess that's it. So it was generational,
Yeah.
Yeah. And then you get the other side of it where people have said they've claimed they've been abducted by aliens. Say it started out during their dream.
Yeah, a lot of people will say that when they are in like either that first or second stage of sleep, or I guess probably in even deep sleep, but not that REM sleep stage, that they experience seeing, the grays or an alien, or have been abducted, or that it's during that time. And it always makes me wonder if it's because, a lot of times when we see things about aliens and how they communicate, it's more telepathic. And that's when, during those stages of sleep, is when your mind is more open, right? So I always wonder if that's why it's easier for those entities to communicate that way.
Before we get to yours, because there's two people close to you that you've dreamt about.
Sure.
If you have, I'm talking to the listeners here, if you have any dreams that you want to share with us that are kind of on the paranormal realm like this, visitations, reach us, 111paranormal.com, email us at TheSFiles at 111paranormal.com, or comment on our live Facebook page. Hello, everybody watching. You have...
I have a couple. I do dream a lot about different family members. My dad is always in my dreams, but he's sort of this peripheral figure, and I just gotta wonder if it's because we fought so much that he doesn't want to upset me or something. I don't know. It wouldn't, Dad.
He sits in the corner. He just sits in the corner.
Yeah, it wouldn't. I'm over everything. So one of the very first times that we got involved in the paranormal was because I was having weird things were happening in our apartment. And I remember at the time I was wondering if it was somebody in my family. So we recorded this on EVP, and I said, "Are you a relative of the Schuberts?" which is my family name. And the machines all kind of went crazy in the apartment, and I was like, "Oh, so it's a relative. That's good." I think I may have said, "Are you a Schubert?" And so what's really weird is that a little bit into that, I started thinking that it was one of my friends from high school that I was very close with, and he died of cancer when I was 19 and he was 20. And I graduated with him, went to junior high with him, was a wonderful, wonderful kid. David, and he was like my first love. In junior high love kind of thing. But we were very close in high school, and we went to visit him at the hospital, and it was just a horrific thing. I always felt guilty because I didn't get to go to his funeral, because the family didn't tell me he had passed until after the funeral. And I felt so guilty about it, and I think I was holding on to that for the longest time, and maybe not letting him rest. And so I told Matt, I need to go put roses on his gravestone because he's buried in Cleveland. And so we found out, I had my research guy look it up, found the obituary, found out where he was buried, went, cleaned the grave off, put flowers down. And so how the Schubert ties in, I will say, his mother's maiden name was Schubert. Same spelling, everything. It was weird because we always used to joke, "Oh my gosh, what if we're related down the road line somewhere?" And so anyway, so we get back, and I was so drained from all of that emotion. I went to sleep, and I dreamt of him. And in my dream, we were sitting, and I had 11th period art with him, and we were sitting at the table, just the two of us talking. And I don't remember what was said. I couldn't tell you. I just know when I woke up, I knew we were both okay. And I never felt like his presence was there again after that.
Wow.
So it was a really amazing thing. And I think he forgave me, and I think I forgave myself. So it was quite an experience for me.
Wow. That's...
Yeah.
I lived through that story, but hearing it again years later, it's still very powerful.
Yeah.
I did want to say, and we talked a little bit about this before the show. To me, and I'm just going to say this because it's a different type of thing. When I experienced that with my mother and father, it never felt like it was a dream. It was like they were there.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
You know,
That's
so
right.
It
That's
wasn't
right.
really like, I've had some dreams that I remember, some crazy ones. But they were dreams. They were things that weren't real.
Yeah.
And they weren't something that, I've had the I can fly and woke up before I crashed,
Yeah.
And I've done, a lot of the things that you hear. But these were different because it was like, she woke me up out of a sound sleep. And it was, it wasn't like, I dreamt that we were talking. She was yelling at me.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I was like, holy smokes.
One of the things that, in some of the research that I've done, it says that if you want to know if your dream is real or not, you already know. Because if you're telling yourself, that didn't feel like a dream, it was real.
Yeah.
And that's what many of the people who do this paranormal dream interpretations and things, that's what they say. So if it feels that real to you and you're not questioning it, then it was.
Wow. That's a lot to digest.
I know your
I know,
friend.
it's good.
Your friend Peggy has
Oh,
a
yeah.
similar experience there.
What-
If you wanted to say it.
You can-
I will. She said that when her mom passed away, she had a very vivid dream of her mom walking hand in hand. She said, I'm not sure if it was her mom or her. Says, I had a vivid dream of her walking hand in hand with my dad who had passed away just a few months earlier.
So
there
they
you
were
go.
together. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that
That's
was, to
beautiful.
me, that was what I took away from it. And I told my sisters about it because, they're not, as reliant. My parents didn't like them as much as me. But I told them that I had heard from Dad after he passed away because they had already known that I had heard from Mom. And I said, I heard from Dad, and he's with Mom, and it was hard to keep from tears as we
Yeah.
were talking about it.
That's
And
beautiful.
I said, and not only that, but they've got Fuzz with them, and they
Now,
were like,
I mean, what kind of place would the afterlife be if it didn't have animals?
and
Like,
that's
I
it.
wouldn't wanna
Everyone
be
talks
there.
about that Rainbow Bridge and everything.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I didn't ask and I didn't hear, but nonetheless, knowing all
Nice.
three of them together
That's beautiful.
was not just wonderful, but super comforting. You know.
Yes, yes.
So I mean, I wasn't. Yeah, it's weird. There was like even though it's somewhat from beyond, there was no like any kind of
Barrier.
fear or
Yeah, that's good.
Wow, that was weird. It was just like, man, they talked to me. That was really cool.
That's beautiful.
I'd love to do it again.
So now we've got the dreams that dreams that come true.
The precognitive dreams.
Abraham Lincoln
Yep.
dreamt that he would be assassinated.
A couple
Really?
days before the assassination, he told his wife about it. He told a couple of the folks that were in the White House with him that he dreamt about it. And what was it? I think I remember the story that he said he dreamt that he was in the White House and he heard someone sobbing. And he walked towards where the sobbing was, and there was a casket and a viewing happening. And he reached over to the guy and said, "What's going on? Who's in the casket?" And the guy said, "The president. He was assassinated."
Oh my.
And so, yeah, how cool that he. I mean, not cool, but how amazing that he had that. I wish he would have been a little more cognizant of it and taken it a little more seriously. But I know after that, Mary Todd Lincoln did seances and everything else
thought
in
she
the
was
White
mad,
House
yeah.
to try to reach him.
Right.
Because he told her about that dream too.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's creepy.
And you had a dream.
So I'm not going to go into a lot of detail about my dream.
We don't have to. We
No,
can skip it.
I want to say it. I mean, it was an amazing thing. When I was 11 years old, I had a dream that I was holding my child, and I knew that the child had passed away, and it was very creepy and very traumatic for me.
At 11.
The way to look at it, and I didn't tell anybody about it. But when I got pregnant years and years later, I knew she wasn't going to make it. Like I just knew. Like there was that gut instinct in me knew that dream was telling me what was going to happen to me in the future. And I just knew it. I just had no doubt in my mind, and she didn't make it. And it was traumatic, and it was horrible. And I still can see that dream today as vivid as it was that day that I had it.
Wow.
It's weird that your dreams actually become part of they become memories.
And it brings me to question that, just because someone maybe didn't make it here, they still can have an afterlife.
I hope so.
Because
I feel like
it makes me wonder, because my mom, between my sister and myself, my mom and dad had a couple of miscarriages, and they wanted to have a boy, and well, they never got another boy, but they had one that they lost.
Yeah.
And so it would be amazing to, not that I'm rushing it. I want to have a very long life, but to pass and then meet your brother.
Yeah.
Would that be weird?
I kind of feel like my daughter. I think she is in someone else's. I know who it is. Who I think it is. I'm not going to say, but I do think that. That there have been signs that this little girl was super attached to me for not really any reason that I can explain.
Yeah.
And peripherally in my life, and I think that was her. So I always have that comfort.
No, very good.
Before we get on to the next topic, also the dreams that bear creative fruit. Again, me being Mr. Beatles here. Paul McCartney woke up one morning with a melody in his head. Do-do-do, do-do-do-do-do-do-do. What's that? He had a piano by the bed, found the chords, kept playing it for people. Has anyone ever heard this? I had to have heard it somewhere. No one recognized it. It was yesterday.
Oh.
Yeah.
He put words to it, but he dreamt it.
Wow.
Isn't that incredible?
Yeah,
That's amazing.
That is totally amazing.
Cool.
So you are listening to the S-Files of Lorain County Country, 107.7 FM, 1320 AM, and online, WOBLradio.com. The S-Files is brought to you by Black River Crystal. During this chaotic period, more and more people are discovering the power of crystals and metaphysical New Age methods. Black River Crystal is a place to help you on your journey to balance your universe, past, present, and future. We offer a large variety of crystals, towers, spheres, raw and polished tumbles, amethyst, obsidian, selenite, moldavite, and much, much more. Reiki healing sessions or tarot readings are available on site. We have a great staff that are ready to help you find what you need to balance your universe. Located at 23013 Sprague Road in Columbia Station, or call 440-941-3403. If you can't make it to the store, don't worry. You can shop online 24/7 at blackrivercrystal.com or email questions to blackrivercrystal@gmail.com.
What's going on? I'm Dalen.
Man, it's the Paranormal Poppy Juwan, man.
And I am the Marcus Harvey.
And we are the Ghost Brothers.
And you are tuned in to the S-Files, baby.
You gonna just give them a theme song?
I gave him a theme song.
And they're not claiming copyright on that. So that's ours. That's ours, guys. Can't touch it. Can't touch this.
Oh,
that is not
bad.
yours.
Oh, that's bad. So let's talk about
Let's talk about recurring.
recurring dreams.
Yeah, I have had this. This is the weirdest thing. I've had 2 recurring dreams. One
She met me.
one recurring dream I still
get to
have
nightmares.
to this day. Yeah, we're not there yet. Thank you, John. That was awesome. Fist bump there. One of my recurring dreams is about a house, and I still have it. I probably have it at least once a month, and I've probably had it for the past 15 years or so. So now that I think about that, it ties into how long we've been doing paranormal. I'm convinced that I'm going to see this house in some paranormal investigation that we go on yet. And I'll know it the minute I mean, it's the same house every time. Foyer entrance, walk in, there's 2 doors on either side, lots of dark woods. I know the room. I would know it. I would know it in an instant if I saw it. I know where the rooms are. It's the same every time. And I just know that house is waiting for me somewhere.
The odds are that there's a house that she's dreaming about that actually is in existence somewhere.
Yeah, I have to say I just cannot. I hope that I run into it one day. And then the other one I've had for, I don't know, forever, is elevators, but they go sideways. It's the weirdest thing. And they just like, I'm all creeped out when I'm in it. And I'm like, where the heck am I going? But yeah, I just always have had weird dreams about elevators. So don't know.
What about you, John? Any reoccurring dreams?
I don't know. No, not really. I mean, I honestly, like, most of my dreams I do not remember. I will say. I've had a couple of dreams that were quite erotic. I will say that.
That's a different show.
It is. It's a different show, so I'm not going to bring up here. But nothing crazy even in the erotic realm. Just just some good stuff. And then like I said, I've had the I can fly type dreams.
Yes, I do have those as well.
Mine aren't your typical I can fly dreams. They're not like, I'm out flying like Superman or anything. I've always had this.
Are they floating?
We're kind of floating, but more like I was, younger. It was in my younger days, and I still have the dream occasionally, and I have tried to recreate it in the physical realm. It doesn't happen, but
too bad.
You know how you can, you've obviously, and this at this point might sound like I'm stereotyping or a racist or something, but you've sat Indian style on the floor before, right?
Sure.
I don't know if you can say Indian style anymore. That's it.
Well, it's not derogatory.
You would think, but you never know.
Okay.
You can't say Cleveland Indians anymore. So that's it. So anyway, but I had this dream over and over again where I could be walking down the street, and if I didn't feel like walking, I could just sit Indian style. But when I sat Indian style, it wasn't like I floated up. It was I just picked my legs up and would float in the air Indian style.
You levitated.
And be able to
levitated.
And be able to zoom anywhere I wanted to go.
Yeah.
It was like, okay, I'm in front of this house and I want to go to the end of the street. I can just cross my legs and go right down the road and everything. And I have had that dream many, many times. So I'm thinking at some point I'm going to be able to do it. But of course, as soon as I get one leg up in the air and I try and bring that second one up, I know I'm going to fall.
So it doesn't work out so well.
And unfortunately, my belief doesn't get me to that point because I don't want them to have to call an ambulance and come to pick the big guy up off the street.
And it's funny, this segues into our next thing about common dreams, and falling is one of them.
Yeah, we thought it would be kind of interesting to talk about a little bit of what it's believed to mean when you have some of these common dreams. So falling is definitely one, and where you jolt out, up, awake, and I mean, I still have those. I still have those probably once a month or something. And so we looked into like the Dream Interpretation Dictionary to see what some of these mean. So it said that falling was usually the dreamer will jolt out of bed before they hit the ground, and it represents feelings of inadequacy or a sense that your life is not stable, or you need to be more grounded. So that's pretty interesting. I could see that.
Have either of you ever really fell out of bed before, where you just fell?
Yes.
Okay.
But I wasn't awake until until my nose hit the floor. Yeah.
I fell on my head.
Did you?
I was still asleep.
That explains everything.
I too have fell out of bed. I remember we were camping up north, and by camping, we went to my grandfather's cabin.
I was going to say, if you were on the ground, how'd you fall?
We were in my grandfather's cabin, and we were overbooked because my grandfather had a cabin up north, and everyone could go use it anytime they wanted. And all the family used it. It was on a lake. There was boats there, everything else, and we could use all of it. Well, one year, just so happened, my dad's vacation, my uncle's vacation, another one of my uncle's vacation, everything all fell at the same time. So we all went to the cabin. No one contacted anyone else. So we were all there, and there just wasn't enough room for all of us. So we had to double up and everything. And I was on the upper bunk of a bed with my uncle, and I ended up, we literally drew straws. Everyone drew straws to see who was going to sleep with who, because there was, just like all these families there. And so I ended up being on the second, and I don't know if he pushed me, okay? But there was a few people that got to have a bed by themselves because there was enough beds and everything that some people didn't have to double up. Most did. And he wanted one to himself the worst way. If my uncle at that point had never been married and wasn't married and everything, and he got Big John with him. So he went up there, and in the middle of the night I fell off the bed.
Oh, jeez.
And as I was falling, I remember dreaming that I was falling.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, oh my God. And the dream seemed to last a long time, but the fall was a split second, you know?
Yeah.
And I remembered hitting the floor and just like not even being phased. I woke up immediately when I hit the floor, but I didn't cry. I didn't hurt myself. But, everyone came running in. They're like, what happened? And it's like, I fell out of the bed. And my uncle was strangely quiet. But
I would have pointed up and said.
But I fell out of bed 3 or 4 times since then. And it's the same thing. Every time I fell out of bed, I've dreamed that I was falling, and it would be a much longer dream than the actual time to me to hit the floor.
Well, time is so different in dreams, just like the movie Inception.
Timing's everything. And just to go off topic here, if you're dreaming that you're going to the bathroom, wake up.
Wake yourself up.
Yeah.
That's all I need to say. Wake yourself. If you see a toilet in your dream, wake yourself up.
What if you dream you're swimming and the water's just beautiful warm?
Just don't pee in the water.
I'm telling you, that's a public service announcement from the S-Files. How about teeth falling out?
So yeah, I think most people have had this dream because it tends to symbolize like insecurities, inner weaknesses, poor communication, or some kind of a loss of control.
I haven't lost any teeth in dreams.
Let's look real close. I think most people have had that dream in their lifetime at some point or another.
Or how about going to work with no clothes on?
Or like you don't have your pants on or something like that. We did look that. So it's a symbol of vulnerability, or you are exposing something personal about yourself.
Well, that's very personal.
The unconscious is sending you a warning for you to become aware of your insecurities and how you portray yourself in society.
Oh, my.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Flying again. So flying, we looked that one up because I have that. That's a recurring dream of mine. But mine again is the same thing. It's levitation, and it says it can signify a sense of empowerment. For me, I would agree because I know every time I wake up from that dream, and I do have it often, I feel like, yes, my witchy powers came out, and I had control of them in that dream because I was able to levitate myself. And I'm like, in my dream, I'm usually like, yeah, see, I can do this.
So there.
So, yeah, drop the mic.
That's it.
What else do we have? Oh, being chased. Yeah, that's another one we looked up. So it typically a sign of anxiety or stress, or that you may be avoiding something, some type of internal conflict, and you may fear something in your past is catching up with you.
Go ahead. Well, I was going to say that's the one that we talked about. I told you guys, one of my uncles, and never hurt a hair on anyone's head.
Yeah.
He was just a really good guy.
He didn't push.
But
that was
it's not the same uncle.
No.
Okay.
I will say, I'll use the names. I don't care. It was my Uncle Rick that was in the bunk bed with me.
Nice job, Rick.
And Rick, I still don't know if you pushed me or not, but that's it. And my Uncle Floyd, who was just a super nice man, worked hard his whole life, but Uncle Floyd, I know you're gone, but you probably can hear this. I was afraid of you, for some reason, I was just. There was no reason for me to be afraid of him. He'd never done anything to me. He was always just friendly and a good guy. But I was scared of him, and I had recurring dreams of him chasing me.
Yeah, well, that's your anxiety coming out.
It was just like crazy, and I mean, there was never anything to the dream, other than him chasing me and me running like crazy, So it wasn't like he was running after me with, intent to hurt me or anything. He didn't have any. It was just he was chasing me and I was running and I was scared to death he was going to catch me.
Some things we never see in dreams.
Yeah, I thought this was cool. I came across this article of talking about things that we typically don't see in dreams, and we went through them. There's 6 things, and we'll go through them relatively
Very quickly.
So one of them was smartphones. The person who wrote this paper said that most of the things that we tend to dream about come from older parts of the human mind. So smartphones are relatively new and not something that we've sort of integrated into that dream sequences that we have. Another thing I thought was really cool is they said you don't usually write, read, or speak. You communicate, but it's more like a telepathy. And that if you think about it, you can understand the concepts and the ideas while asleep, and you can express yourselves, but you don't really hear the sound or see anyone actually talking in your dreams. And I thought that's kind of interesting. I don't know if I've ever noticed that.
I've had dreams here about the station and various people,
Really?
but it doesn't look like the station. It's completely different. It looks like a like a shack, pretty much. But the old PD would talk to me, and I could see his lips moving, mouth moving.
Are you sure, though?
Yes.
Are you sure,
Positive.
or was it that you just thought you did?
No, I saw
because
him.
you're communicating.
And I'm on the air and I'm speaking.
I know what you're saying, but I'm wondering if, because in your mind you know that's what you're supposed to expect, right? But do you really see the person's mouth moving? I wonder.
I do.
Okay.
We'll have to figure that one out.
We'll have to see.
We'll have
All
to
right,
see.
another one I thought was really cool was that you don't meet complete strangers in your dreams. The theory is that our brains can't invent new people. All the strangers we see in our dreams are either people we have already encountered somewhere, or their faces are a combination of features we've already seen.
So composite people.
Okay.
Yeah,
That could be.
that's interesting.
So I was going to argue that one for a minute, and then the later on explanation kind of. This goes back to some of the erotic stuff.
Okay. And then next, moving on, doing physical activities. Don't you say anything, John. All right. Says,
I'm done.
So it says it feels like we're doing everything in slow motion, no matter how hard you try. Researchers suggest that we may perceive time differently in our dreams, just like we just talked about. Number 5 was looking at ourselves in the mirror. Reflections abide by the laws of physics, but dreams are driven by our subconscious expectations and memories. So, again, I'm going to bring that movie Inception up. If you've ever seen that, that's a really cool movie all about how dreams work and how your physics do not work in the dream.
I have a story about mirrors, but we'll do that another time.
Okay.
Because we're pushing the end here.
Okay. And then the last one was tasting food. So we tend to remember that we were about to eat or that we were just done eating and understand the process in our dreams, but never really take a bite and eat the food in our dreams. So I just thought those were really kind of cool little things that people talk about that you never see in a dream. So we'll see. We'll have to see if we can recognize that. If you have any
Food for thought, people.
Yeah.
Literally. We did it. We got through everything.
Yeah,
that's
amazing.
We could do another hour if we want to, because this is really fascinating stuff. Really.
I do like it.
Yes, it's one of those relaxing kind of, because there is no right or wrong answer. It's just basically what your experiences are. And that is this week's S-Files. Thanks so much for joining us. Next show is September 14th.
Yes, and I came up with this today while researching some of the other things, paranormal items that we were looking at, and I decided to go with, the next show will be called Demons and Other Paranormal BS.
Yeah.
So that's it. I don't care. I mean, if folks want to argue with me, bring it on. Tell me about your demon things. I don't believe in them. So I'm sorry. Tell me about whoever wants to write in or call in or whatever they want to do, tell me about how you've been,
You summoned the demon.
Summoned a demon or sent a demon back to hell or whatever. I don't believe in it. And I don't think, like I talked about before in one of our past shows, you don't have to be of any religion to be around in the next life, because my grandfather was an atheist and he came to see us. So
The show is getting edgy, folks.
Yep.
That is going to do it for us. The S-Files. The S stands for Laura. What?
Sensory.
John.
Smiles.
What?
Smiles.
Smiles.
Yep. When I heard my mom and dad, it made me smile.
Oh, that's
good.
nice.
Okay.
I thought it was
What about you?
Those other dreams you had. Well, I was going to say somnambulant for sleep, okay? But I think I'm going to bring it down a little bit. I'm going to say, for everybody out there tonight, sweet dreams.
Oh, my
Thought you were going to go with the snooze.
This has been the S-Files. We're out.
Thank you.
The proceeding was a paid informational program. The views and opinions expressed were not necessarily those of the staff, management, or advertisers of WOBL Radio.